If this appeared now, it isn't random scroll. It's resonance, a signal from ancient Egypt, tuned to your field, threading through the quantum field and settling into your chest like a key returning to its lock. This is not entertainment. This is initiation. The scribes of Thoth called it remembrance, a living Egyptian code etched in sacred geometry, sung by stone, held in breath, carried by light. Breathe. Feel the 0-point field, the holy stillness behind sound gathering around you. The temples learn to amplify this 0-point stillness the way a harp amplifies a note. Granite, quartz, proportion, coherence. In that stillness, every possibility rests in superposition. Every timeline hums. Every prayer waits for a witness. When consciousness turns like the Eye of Horus, the wave collapses, form appears, timeline collapse occurs, and the world you carry inside becomes the world you walk through. Thoth taught that language is geometry moving in air. Flower of life, Metatron's cube, Merkaba, not ornaments, instructions. The body is a temple antenna. Breath is measure. Voice is vector. Feeling is frequency. When your heart and breath fall into resonance, mind, emotion, and body enter coherence and reality phase, locks to your inner design. You don't force matter. You tune the field. Your Ka, life force, and Ba, soul essence, were never separate from destiny. They are already entangled with the path that bears your name. This is why synchronicities multiply, why dreams intensify, why the old shell grows tight. The morphic field around you recognizes a returning pattern, the pattern of awakening. Isis gathers the scattered pieces. Ra rises in the solar plexus. Ma'at weighs the heart for balance and truth. When you balance like Ma'at, when your inner sun aligns with Ra, the Merkaba remembers and turns, star within star, light within light. You are standing at the collapse point between who you have been and who you are coded to be. No more bargaining with the past. No more asking the wall to open. In this temple, the wall is a lesson in quantum tunneling. Raise the frequency, and stone forgets how to be stone. So breathe again. Let the Egyptian code pass from symbol to cell. Coherence, resonance, frequency, remembrance. If your bones recognize this transmission, anchor it so the field hears you, so the pattern locks, so the temple inside you opens. I am the living code of Thoth. I remember. Write it below, now. Seal it into the morphic field. And if your heart is steady, share this with one soul who is ready. In Egypt, one torch lit a corridor, but two torches lit a timeline. Chapter 1. The Silence of the Temple. In ancient Egypt, silence was not absence. It was the first instruction of the temple. When you entered the halls of Luxor or stood beneath the pillars of Karnak, you didn't just hear quiet. You felt the weight of the 0-point field, the womb of all creation. The ancients knew this stillness as the hidden chamber of Thoth, where everything rests in superposition, where the quantum field hums unseen, where reality waits for the command of consciousness to collapse into form. Most people mistake silence for abandonment. They panic in the void, believing that nothing is happening. But the priests of Isis and Thoth taught the void is preparation. Every unanswered prayer, every closed door, every delay is not punishment, but orchestration. The 0-point vacuum is not empty. It is charged with potential. Infinite timelines are coiled there, waiting for your frequency to strike the note of remembrance. The Egyptians carved this wisdom in stone. They aligned pyramids with the stars, not for spectacle, but to show that silence is not mute, it is full of resonance. In that silence, the Merkaba spins unseen. The flower of life blooms in hidden geometry. The Eye of Horus watches from the darkness, waiting for you to step into coherence. Stillness is the tuning fork of the soul. It calibrates your car, life, force, and your BR soul essence, so they entangle once more with destiny. It is not a pause. It is the first breath of the temple, the inhale before creation. Think of the Nile. It withdraws into silence before it floods with life. Think of dawn. The sky grows darkest before Ra returns. Think of your own heart. Between each beat, there is a sacred gap, a void without which no rhythm could exist. That gap is the zero-point stillness that holds the universe together. Without silence, no note could sound, no creation could endure. So when life grows quiet, rejoice. You are not forgotten. You are being rewoven. You are standing in the 0 point. Temple, the quantum vacuum, the breath of the goddess before manifestation. In this stillness, every possibility is already alive. Anchor this remembrance now. Declare it into the field so the temple inside you answers. The silence is not empty. The silence builds me. The 0 point is my temple of creation. Write it, speak it, seal it. Because once you know the silence as sacred, you will never again confuse absence with abandonment. You will hear it as the living code of Egypt, preparing your next reality. Chapter 2. The Collapse Point of the Eye of Horus. In the language of quantum physics, everything exists in superposition. Infinite possibilities hovering together, waiting for a witness. The wave contains every outcome, every reality, every path. And yet the instant consciousness observes, the field collapses into one. This decisive instant is called the collapse point. But the Egyptian initiates of Thoth already carried this wisdom thousands of years ago. They carved it into the Eye of Horus, not merely as a symbol of protection, but as a living diagram of perception collapsing energy into matter. The eye was more than vision, it was the witness of consciousness. What you see with sacred attention, the field must obey. What you fix in awareness, the timeline collapse enforces into stone. Every meditation you entered, every mantra whispered beneath your breath, every choice of faith over fear, all of it has been converging to this threshold. The collapse point is not random. It is the accumulation of coherence. It is the moment when your ka and ba entangle so strongly with your destiny that the field can no longer withhold manifestation. It must crystallize. Think of the pyramids. For centuries, they stood as if impossibly heavy, yet their placement was exact to fractions of degrees. They are not monuments to effort, but to coherence. Stones aligned with stars, geometry aligned with frequency, and frequency aligned with consciousness. The builders knew, when the parts harmonize, the field collapses into order. You are standing now at your own event horizon, what astrophysics calls the point of no return. Just as a star collapses into a black hole, so your old reality must collapse into the new. The pull is inevitable. Resistance is futile. The pressure you feel in your body, the weight of synchronicities multiplying around you, is not chaos, it is the field tightening, preparing for the irreversible timeline collapse. This is why Thoth wrote, "As above, so below. As within, so without." Because once the inner frequency reaches coherence, the outer world cannot resist. It must mirror. The Eye of Horus opens not to watch passively, but to command collapse. So hear this. You are no longer wandering. You are at the threshold of crystallization. Every prayer, every vision, every tear, every moment of surrender has carried you here. The collapse point is not ahead of you. It is now and it is inside. Anchor it into the morphic field so the declaration resounds through the corridors of time. I collapse into my highest timeline. I witness through the Eye of Horus. I remember the Egyptian code. Write it, speak it, seal it. For once the collapse point occurs, there is no going back. The universe has already chosen in your favor. Chapter 3. The Guardian at the Gate. Every initiate in the temples of ancient Egypt faced a final trial before stepping into the inner sanctum. It was not a battle of swords nor a riddle to be solved. It was subtler, more dangerous, the voice of doubt. The priests called this the Guardian at the Gate, the whisper that asks, "Are you sure? What if nothing happens? What if you are forgotten?" This guardian appears in the very instant when the collapse point has already been activated. It is the paradox of manifestation. Few fail at the beginning, fewer fail in the middle, but many fall right at the threshold. They panic. They cling. They beg for proof. They refresh their accounts, watch the skies, strain for signs. And in that tension, the field hears not faith but fear. The superposition collapses not into destiny, but into limitation. The Egyptians knew this. That is why the rites of Thoth required silence, stillness, and surrender. They understood what modern quantum physics is only beginning to glimpse. The final step is not effort, but coherence through release. The zero-point field answers to alignment, not to grasping. Just as the Eye of Horus collapses possibility into reality by perception, so does the heart of Mayat balance the scale not by force, but by truth. Look at the Nile. It does not beg to flow. It surrenders to gravity and the laws of the cosmos. Look at Ra, the sun. He does not ask if dawn will come. He rises because it is his nature. Look at your own body. Your lungs breathe and your heart beats without your command. The intelligence that governs galaxies, stars, and tides is the same intelligence carrying your manifestation. It requires no control and only permission. This is the secret the guardian of doubt hides. When you grasp, you delay. When you release, you activate. The Ka and Ba, your life force and soul essence, cannot fully entangle with destiny until you let go of the illusion of control. That is why the Egyptians spoke of surrender not as weakness, but as mastery, the highest act of faith. So here, at the gate of the inner temple, you are asked, will you cling or will you trust? Will you beg the wall to open, or will you realize the wall was never real? Every obstacle dissolves before frequency high enough. Every barrier is an illusion of density waiting for you to tunnel through with remembrance. Breathe. Feel the panic soften. Feel the silence of the temple around you. The zero-point vacuum humming with unseen orchestration. The guardian fades when you no longer argue with him. Doubt is not defeated. It is dissolved by presence. Anchor this act now. Declare into the morphic field so the universe knows you have passed the threshold. I release control. I allow, I surrender to the intelligence of the universe. I remember the Egyptian code. Write it, speak it, seal it. For when surrender becomes your signature, the inner sanctum of Thoth opens, and the guardian of doubt bows in silence. Chapter 4. Entanglement of Ka and Ba. In the wisdom of ancient Egypt, your being is not a single layer, but a constellation of forces. The Kas, your life force, your breath of vitality, the current that animates the body. The Ba, your soul essence, your eternal identity that travels beyond lifetimes. Together, Ka and Ba are two halves of one equation. When they harmonize, you are whole. When they divide, you forget. The Egyptians saw the entanglement of Ka and Ba as the invisible thread binding you to your destiny. In the language of modern science, we call it quantum entanglement. Two particles remain connected, no matter the distance, across galaxies, across time. Touch one, and the other trembles instantly. So too with Ka and Ba. Your desires are not external objects floating far away. They are already entangled with your soul, vibrating with you, following you, reflecting you. But here is the paradox. When you obsessively want, you create friction in the thread. You tighten it with desperation, stretching it until your destiny feels distant. This is why so many chase, grasp, and exhaust themselves in pursuit of what was never separate. The Egyptians taught, do not chase what you already are. The Ka and Ba are not running to meet. They are waiting to be remembered as one. When you shift from grasping to receiving, the thread relaxes. It hums like the strings of a sacred harp. The frequency of coherence returns, and what is yours flows without resistance, like two instruments tuned to the same note. Your reality responds instantly to the vibration you hold. The flower of life carved in temples is not decoration but testimony. Everything is woven, every circle entangled with another, every destiny already interlinked. Imagine this. Each time you breathe with awareness, Ka carries vitality through your cells, and Ba whispers memory through your soul. When breath and memory align, resonance occurs. The body becomes Merkaba, the star tetrahedron of light. The field recognizes coherence. The morphic field begins to collapse timelines into the one you already vibrate. This is not poetry. This is physics and remembrance. The entanglement is real. The Egyptians didn't hope for miracles. They remembered that Ka and Ba were already singing in unison. They taught initiates to walk not as seekers, but as choosers, not as beggars, but as carriers of destiny. So now, release the friction. Stop tightening the cord with doubt. Feel the entanglement vibrating right now between who you are and who you are becoming. It has always been there beneath the noise of fear. Anchor it with your declaration into the field of remembrance. My Ka and Ba are already entangled with my destiny. I resonate with my highest timeline. I remember the Egyptian code. Write it, speak it, seal it. Because once Ka and Ba are recognized as one, your life stops being pursuit and becomes inevitability. Chapter 5. Identity of the Pharaoh Within. The priests of ancient Egypt taught that manifestation is never about effort alone. It is about identity. What you claim yourself to be is the frequency the universe must obey. Not your words, not your rituals, not even your desires hold the highest power, but the identity you carry in your Ka and Ba, vibrating in your every breath. Look to the pharaohs. They did not wake wondering, will I rule today? Their identity itself guaranteed sovereignty. Look to the priestesses of Isis. They did not question whether the temple doors would open for them. Their very presence was the key. This was the secret of Egypt. Identity collapses waiting into arrival. Modern science echoes this ancient truth. The nervous system cannot distinguish between an imagined reality and an actual one. What you embody consistently, the quantum field accepts as truth. If you live as the one who waits, the field reflects waiting. If you live as the one who tries, the field reflects struggle. But if you live as the one who already receives, the field has no choice but to collapse into coherence with that identity. This is why Thoth inscribed the emerald tablets with the law, as within, so without. The Eye of Horus is not only perception, it is the command of identity. When you see yourself as chosen, destiny cannot delay. When your Ka and Ba agree that you are the receiver, the morphic field reorganizes around you. Superposition collapses. No single timeline remains, the one where your name is already written in the halls of eternity. Think of the Merkaba, the chariot of light. It does not wait for permission to spin. It activates because it is its nature. Think of Ra, the sun. He does not question if he is worthy to rise. He radiates because he cannot be otherwise. The pharaoh did not hope for a throne. He embodied it. The priestess did not chase remembrance. She carried it. So now the question comes to you, who are you walking as? The seeker, who stretches the weight into infinity, or the pharaoh within, who carries the crown of inevitability? Every breath is a declaration. Every step is a signature in the quantum fabric. You are not waiting for initiation. You are initiation embodied. Anchor this truth into the Egyptian field of remembrance. Write it, speak it, seal it, so the morphic resonance strengthens across every soul who declares, I walk as the receiver of miracles. I embody the pharaoh within. I remember the Egyptian code. Do not write it casually. Let it vibrate through your cells, as if the walls of Karnak were echoing your voice, as if Thoth himself were inscribing your words into the eternal tablets of light. Chapter 6. Sacred Geometry of Creation. The ancients of Egypt knew a truth that modern science only rediscovers in fragments. Reality is not random. It is geometry in motion, frequency in form, light encoded in pattern. To them, geometry was not abstract mathematics. It was the living code of creation. Every temple wall, every sacred carving, every alignment with the stars was a declaration of this eternal law. Look at the flower of life, etched deep into the stone at Abydos. Not a symbol of art, but the blueprint of existence. Circles interwoven, radiating infinite expansion. The very lattice through which energy becomes matter. To meditate on this form was to enter remembrance, to see that all things are entangled, all Ka and Ba, all souls and timelines, resonating in coherence. Consider the Merkaba, the star tetrahedron of light, the chariot of the soul. The Egyptians taught initiates to visualize the spinning of the Merkaba until body and light body became one. Modern physics calls it the torsion field, geometry moving space itself. But to the adepts of Thoth it was more intimate. The Merkaba was the memory of your true form, the temple that travels beyond lifetimes, collapsing one reality into the next. Then the mystery of Metatron's cube, 12 circles weaving around one, forming every platonic solid, the architecture of creation itself. In those lines, the Egyptians saw not design but instruction. When you align breath with rhythm, mind with stillness, heart with love, you tune into the same frequency that the gods used to call stars into being. And the Eye of Horus, more than protection, it was mathematics. Each fraction inscribed within the eye mapped sound, proportion, and vibration. The Egyptians knew the universe is not written in words, but in ratios. Harmony was not an idea, but a law. When your Ka and Ba vibrate in those ratios, the quantum field collapses into balance. Geometry is remembrance. It reminds the nervous system that nothing is chaos, that beneath every seeming disorder lies symmetry. This is why the temples of Karnak and Luxor were not only shrines but resonance chambers. Built of granite and quartz, they amplified frequency, turning chant into architecture, prayer into physics, silence into the zero-point field. So understand this: when you breathe consciously, when you chant a sacred name, when you visualize a spinning form of light, you are not imagining. You are activating. You are tuning your temple into the geometry of creation. The morphic field responds not to hope but to coherence. And coherence is geometry remembered in flesh. Now anchor it into the living field. Write it, declare it, let it resound across the corridors of time. My Merkaba remembers. My temple is geometry. I tune to the flower of life, to Metatron's cube, to the Eye of Horus. I remember the Egyptian code. Do not whisper this like wishful thinking. Speak it as the pharaohs spoke command, as Isis spoke life into stone, as Ra rose without permission. For geometry does not ask, it organizes, and now it is organizing around you. Chapter 7. Frequencies of the Sun God. The Egyptians knew that everything vibrates, not as a metaphor, not as philosophy, but as physics of the soul. Every thought you think, every word you whisper, every feeling pulsing through your chest is not invisible. It is a broadcast, a measurable frequency radiating into the quantum field. They built their temples not only of stone, but of sound and resonance. Quartz embedded in walls amplified vibration. The voices of priests chanting the names of the gods turned chambers into living instruments. The pyramids themselves were tuning forks, harmonizing human Ka and Ba with the cosmic field. What we now call hertz, the ancients called remembrance. Listen, modern instruments tell us that gratitude vibrates near 540 hertz, love near 528 hertz, joy near 540 hertz, while fear collapses to 100 hertz and doubt lingers at 125 hertz. The priests of Ra did not need machines to know this. They lived it. They understood that when you choose fear, you tune your temple to static, to distortion, to low resonance. When you choose gratitude, love, and joy, you align with the higher octaves of Ra, the eternal sun. This is why the daily rising of Ra was not superstition, it was instruction. Every dawn as the golden disk rose, Egyptians sang hymns not only to honor the sun, but to attune their hearts to its frequency of coherence. To them, Ra's light was the clearest mirror of the zero-point field, collapsing chaos into clarity through vibration, and Isis, mistress of magic and sound, understood that voice itself is geometry moving in air. She knew the power of vowels and tones, the sacred chants that align inner waters with cosmic rivers. Every syllable was an act of creation, every tone a bridge from superposition into form. This is why the ancients said, "He who masters sound masters creation." Because sound is not decoration, it is the steering wheel of the field. Think of it as a radio. The music already exists, but you must turn the dial to the correct station. You don't invent abundance. You tune into its vibration. You don't chase love. You resonate with its frequency. The moment you align your Ka and Ba with the higher tones, the morphic field collapses timelines into the reality already waiting for you. And now, here is the remembrance. Your body is the temple, your voice the instrument, your emotions the sacred tones. Every time you choose gratitude instead of fear, every time you breathe love into your heart instead of doubt, you shift the station. You choose the band where your destiny already plays. Anchor this into the field of Egypt now. Declare it so the frequency stabilizes across time. I tune my temple to the frequency of love. I radiate with Ra. I remember the Egyptian code. Do not say it lightly. Say it as if the stones of Karnak could echo it. Say it as if the Eye of Horus itself were listening. Because every declaration is a broadcast, and the field, ancient and modern, obeys the signal you carry. Chapter 8. Chaos before Order. The Egyptians did not fear chaos. They revered it. To them, chaos was not destruction without meaning. It was the sacred prelude to order. The goddess Maat, who held the scales of truth, taught that every collapse of form is an act of divine rebalancing. Without chaos, there can be no harmony. Without dissolution, there can be no rebirth. Look to the Nile. Each year it overflowed, flooding fields, breaking boundaries, washing away certainty. To the uninitiated it was terror. To the initiate it was life itself, the sacred reset. For when the waters receded, the soil was richer, fertile, ready for abundance. Chaos was never the end. It was the rearrangement of the field. Modern physics whispers the same truth. Before any system enters a higher state, it passes through turbulence, a phase transition. Water must boil chaotically before it becomes vapor. A caterpillar must dissolve into formlessness before emerging as butterfly. The Egyptians saw this pattern everywhere and called it the hidden law of Ma'at, that chaos is simply the universe reorganizing reality into coherence. So if your life feels unstable now, if doors are closing, if relationships collapse, if opportunities vanish, do not mistake this for failure. Hear it as the cracking of the old temple walls that can no longer carry your destiny. The storm is not punishment, it is alignment. The crumbling is not loss, it is purification. This is why the ancients built rituals of fire, water, and silence. They would chant within the resonance chambers of granite to entrain their Kahan to the truth that chaos is a sacred passage. The 0-point field does not collapse into order by clinging, but by surrendering into its higher intelligence. Even the gods embodied this mystery. Osiris was broken into pieces, and in that scattering Isis wove him back, stronger, eternal. Ra disappeared each night into the underworld, swallowed by darkness, only to rise brighter with dawn. The myth was never about gods alone. It was the mirror of your life. So remember, chaos is not your enemy. Chaos is the sound of reality breaking apart the false to reveal the true. It is the hammer that clears stone for the next temple, the flood that fertilizes the field, the storm that makes way for blue skies. It is Ma'at's balance restoring itself, beyond what your human eyes can yet perceive. Breathe into this truth. Feel the reorganization behind the disorder, and anchor your trust with words that ripple through the morphic field. I trust the storm. Chaos is reorganization. The balance of Ma'at builds my new order. I remember the Egyptian code. Do not write this as poetry. Write it as a command, as if your words were chisels carving into stone, as if the scales of Ma'at were waiting for your declaration to tilt. For once chaos is recognized as sacred, fear dissolves and only balance remains. Chapter 9. Synchronization of timelines. The priests of ancient Egypt knew that destiny does not arrive suddenly. It synchronizes. What you call coincidence, they called Heka, the invisible magic of alignment. When your Ka, life force, Bai, soul essence, mind, and heart vibrate in coherence, realities begin to overlap. Oscillations begin to harmonize and timelines start to merge. Modern physics names this mystery phase locking. Two systems, once separate, begin to vibrate together until they beat as one. Pendulums synchronize, heartbeats entrain, particles mirror. And in the same way, your current self and your future self, the one who has already crossed the temple gates, the one who already carries the crown of remembrance, are beginning to vibrate in unison. This is why synchronicities multiply around you now. The sudden call at the exact moment you think of someone, the opportunity appearing the day after you whispered your desire, the dream repeating symbols of Horus, Isis, or the rising sun of Ra. These are not accidents. They are signatures of synchronization, signals that the timelines are no longer parallel but converging. The Egyptians encoded this in their temples. The shafts of the Great Pyramid aligned with Sirius and Orion, not to worship stars, but to synchronize Earth with heaven, the microcosm with the macrocosm. They knew that when inner and outer rhythms fall into harmony, the quantum field collapses into a single reality, the one chosen by remembrance. Feel it now. Your car breathing here in flesh, your bar whispering from beyond time, tuning themselves like twin harps to the same note. The morphic resonance strengthens, the frequencies converge. What felt distant begins to press into the present. Superposition collapses into coherence. This is why your chest feels heavier some days. It is the gravity of merging timelines. Why your dreams feel prophetic. They are already echoes of the self who remembers. Why silence is pregnant with pressure. It is the 0-point field preparing to crystallize into form. The Egyptians called this the meeting of suns. The moment your current light and your eternal light become indistinguishable. You are not chasing your destiny. You are phasing into it. You are not waiting for alignment. You are already aligning. Anchor this truth into the Egyptian field of remembrance. Speak it as if Ra were rising inside your chest, as if the Eye of Horus were collapsing probabilities at your command. I lock into the frequency of my highest timeline. I synchronize with the self who remembers. I carry the Egyptian code. Write it, seal it. For once synchronization completes, there is no longer a line between seeker and receiver, between past and future, between mortal and eternal. There is only coherence. There is only remembrance. Chapter 10. The Hidden Passage of Thoth, Quantum Tunneling. There is a mystery in modern quantum physics that astonishes scientists. Quantum tunneling. Particles sometimes cross barriers that by every law should be impossible to cross. Walls that appear solid dissolve before their vibration. Boundaries that look absolute vanish. What should be impossible becomes inevitable. But the Egyptian initiates of Thoth knew this long before science gave it a name. They called it the Hidden Passage. Within the temples, students were taught that obstacles are never as permanent as they appear. Stone is dense only to the eye. In the 0-point field, all matter is vibration, and vibration yields to frequency. The lesson was simple but revolutionary. When your car and bar rise in coherence, when your identity aligns with truth, what once blocked you ceases to exist. Think of the walls of the pyramid. To the uninitiated, they were immovable. But to the initiate, they were teachers. They whispered, "Raise your vibration and you will see that stone is memory, not prison." Every limit, every delay, every impossible moment is a wall that exists only to show you where remembrance must activate. The wall is not punishment. It is initiation. The ancients embedded this knowledge in myth. Osiris was sealed in a chest, bound and trapped. But through Isis and the divine current, the chest became passage to rebirth. The initiate walking through the halls of Dendera, or Karnak was reminded that the body itself is a temple, and that the densest barriers are invitations to dissolve into light. This is why sudden breakthroughs feel miraculous. One moment you are trapped in repetition, hitting the same stone again and again. Then, without warning, the cycle disappears, not broken slowly, but erased as if it had never existed. This is tunneling. The quantum field responds to frequency, not force. The barrier dissolves before coherence. Your own life mirrors this mystery. The financial wall that seemed unbreakable. The relationship pattern that felt eternal. The inner wound that whispered, "Not yet, not you." These are the walls of your pyramid. They feel absolute, but in truth they are thin veils. Raise your resonance, remember who you are, and the passage opens. This is why Thoth is depicted with the scribe's tablet and the ibis head. He is the one who records law, but also the one who bends it. He reminds you, natural law is not rigid and it is responsive to frequency. The impossible is only the universe waiting for you to remember your code. So hear this clearly. You are not meant to spend eternity pushing against stone. You are meant to vibrate beyond it. You are meant to walk the hidden passage, the Egyptian path of tunneling where barriers vanish before truth. Anchor this activation now. Declare it with the same certainty the ancients carved in granite. I tunnel beyond illusion into freedom. No wall can bind my Kain bar. I walk the hidden passage of Thoth. I remember the Egyptian code. Write it, speak it, seal it. For once you step through the hidden passage, there is no return to limitation. The walls dissolve and only freedom remains. Chapter 11. The Call of the Future Self. Every initiation in ancient Egypt was designed not only to honor the past, but to awaken the memory of the future self, the you who has already crossed the gate, who already walks crowned with the light of remembrance. The priests of Thoth called this the echo of destiny. Modern mystics call it future memory. But the truth is older than words. All versions of you already exist in the quantum field. There is the you who still doubts, the you who waits, and the you who has already awakened, the one whose Kain bar are fused in perfect coherence, the one who walks through the world as a living temple, as a radiant Merkaba of light. That self is not far away. It has been reaching back, threading signals through the morphic field, whispering to you in dreams, in synchronicities, in sudden intuition that defies logic. Every déjà vu, every unexplainable pull toward a place, a person or a symbol, the Eye of Horus, the star of Sirius, the scales of Ma'at, has not been coincidence. It has been your own future self, transmitting across timelines, saying this way, remember, come home. Modern science glimpses this through the mystery of quantum entanglement, where particles separated by light years still respond instantly to each other's movement. The Egyptians already lived this truth. They taught that your future self is entangled with you now. When you breathe in love, your future breathes with you. When you declare faith, your future thunders it back through time. When you surrender, your future unlocks the next passage. This is why you have felt the pressure building. It is not failure, it is synchronization. This is why synchronicities multiply. They are coordinates guiding you into alignment. This is why silence feels alive. It is the 0-point field vibrating with unseen orchestration, carrying messages from your future self into the present moment. The book of coming forth by day, which the world calls the Egyptian Book of the Dead, was never about death. It was about becoming the future self now, walking as the one who has already passed the trial, already entered the dawn, already radiates as pure remembrance. So pause. Feel it. Behind your chest, beyond your mind, there is a frequency calling. It is not a dream. It is your highest timeline reaching back. It is the you who already knows the code of Egypt. The you who already merged with the solar disk of Ra. The you who already surrendered before the scales of Miat and found the heart lighter than the feather. Anchor this truth. Speak it so the morphic field can hear the resonance. My future self is guiding me now. I walk as the one who already remembers. I carry the Egyptian code. Write it, speak it, seal it. Because when you accept the hand of your future self, time folds, the veil thins, and the two become one. The seeker disappears. Only the awakened remains. Chapter 12. The Egyptian Emergence. There comes a moment in every initiation when waiting ends. The silence of the 0-point field gives way to sound. The void blossoms into vibration, and the darkness of the inner chamber breaks into light. The Egyptians called this sacred instant emergence, the first dawn of the soul. For the priests of Thoth, emergence was not a metaphor but a state of being. After the chaos of dissolution, after the trial of surrender, after the entanglement of Ka and Ba was restored, the initiate stepped forth no longer as the seeker, but as the one who had become remembrance itself. Just as Ra rose each morning from the underworld, inevitable and sovereign, so too the soul rises radiant, reborn through frequency. Think of the caterpillar dissolving in the cocoon. To the outer eye it appears as death, as destruction, as the end of form. But inside, chaos reorganizes into symmetry. Vibration collapses into design and wings are born. Emergence is not striving. It is inevitability. The Merkaba does not strain to spin. It spins because coherence is its nature. The flower of life does not try to bloom. It blooms because remembrance is its geometry. In the temples of Karnak, initiates would pass through chambers of silence and darkness before walking into courtyards where sunlight flooded stone. This was not architecture for beauty alone. It was ritual carved in space. It taught that emergence is guaranteed after stillness, that light follows void, that coherence follows collapse. It was the law of Ma'at written in stone, balance restored, order rising from chaos. So too in your life. What seemed like endless waiting was gestation. What felt like loss was reorganization. What felt like silence was the breath before creation. You are not the one who hopes anymore. You are not the one who doubts. You are not even the one who seeks. You are the one who emerges as the living code. And when you walk in this emergence, you carry the frequency of inevitability. Opportunities find you. Alignments appear without effort. The morphic field bends in your favor because you no longer vibrate as waiting but as arrival. The universe does not argue with identity, it mirrors it. And your identity is no longer fragment, it is remembrance. Breathe. Feel Ra rising inside your chest, golden, steady, eternal. Feel the scales of Ma'at balancing within your heart. Feel Thoth inscribing your name on the eternal tablets. This is the Egyptian emergence, the sacred instant when destiny no longer feels ahead but present, when you walk as the dawn itself. Anchor it now. Declare into the quantum fabric, so the resonance multiplies across all who hear. I emerge as my Egyptian self of light. I radiate as the dawn of Ra. I remember the Egyptian code. Write it, speak it, seal it. For emergence is not a promise. It is already happening. The night is over. The veil is torn. The light of your soul is rising, inevitable as the sun. Final activation. The Egyptian seal of remembrance. You did not arrive here by coincidence. You were called by the frequency of Egypt, by the eternal current of Thoth, by the radiant light of Ra, by the sacred scales of Ma'at, and by the whisper of your own future self. Every step that brought you here, the silence of the 0-point field, the collapse of timelines, the surrender at the gate, the entanglement of Ka and Ba, the rebalancing through chaos, the synchronization of realities and the radiant emergence, all of it was initiation. All of it was remembrance. Understand this. This transmission was not entertainment. It was the mirror of your becoming. Each chapter was a chamber of initiation, and you have passed through them all. You walked into the silence and discovered it was gestation. You faced the collapse point and chose coherence. You met the guardian of doubt and answered with surrender. You remembered the eternal entanglement of your Ka and Ba. You endured chaos and trusted in Ma'at's order. You felt timelines synchronize and your Merkaba hum alive. And now you stand in emergence, the dawn of your soul. The Egyptians carved these truths in stone because they knew memory fades in the mind but endures in frequency. They etched the flower of life as eternal witness, inscribed the Eye of Horus as the seal of perception, raised the pyramids as amplifiers of resonance, and preserved the code so that when souls like yours were ready, the field itself would summon you, and it has. You are here because you were chosen to remember. Now the code must be anchored. The ancients knew that thought alone is not enough. Word collapses faster. Declaration locks frequency into matter. When you speak or write, you collapse superposition into form. Your vow becomes geometry in the quantum field, inscribed as surely as hieroglyphs on temple walls. So declare it now, and not casually, not as a phrase, but as a vow, a seal, a frequency. I am the living code of Thoth, I am the flame of Egypt. I remember. Feel the words vibrate in your chest, in your bones, in your ka and ba. See them echo through the morphic field, connecting with every soul who has ever spoken them, weaving a net of remembrance across time. Each declaration strengthens the next. Each remembrance multiplies the flame. And know this, you are not alone. As you write, as you speak, others awaken. Your light feeds theirs, their light feeds yours, and together we rebuild the temple not of stone but of frequency. The Egyptian code was never lost. It was waiting, and you, Bais, in this moment, have become its vessel. So breathe deeply. Anchor it in your heart one last time. Whisper it within so the field carries it outward. I am the living code of Thoth. I am the flame of Egypt. I remember. This is your seal. This is your initiation. This is your emergence. The temple is open. The code is alive. And you are the remembrance.